Hello everyone, I am Piyush Goyal and I welcome you to Voxcel's YouTube channel. So in this particular video, we're gonna deal with Cambridge IELTS Academic Book 19, second test, first reading passage. So without further ado, let's start. So the title of this passage is The Industrial Revolution in Britain. So by reading the title we can understand that, or we can assume that, infer that basically this paragraph is about industrial revolution in Britain. Like, it can be, I'm not so sure it will be, but it can be about how industry started, why there was industrial revolution, or what were the effects or things like that. Benefit of doing this is the like content you thought might not be in the paragraph at all, or it might be, but it will help your brain to activate the vocabulary related to it, and you will not be surprised while reading words in this particular passage. So what we're gonna do is we are not gonna just read this passage just yet. Instead, what we're gonna do is we're gonna read the questions first and see what kind of questions we have. So questions, there are total 13 questions in this particular paragraph, and we're gonna see what kind of questions we have to deal with. Questions 1 to 7. For these kind of questions, you have to write one word only. Okay, so there are 7 blanks. If you write more than one word for any of these 7 questions, your answer, though one word that you have written out of those 2 or 3 may be correct, will be marked as incorrect. Alright, so that's why it's important to read the instruction words. And let's see, second set, 8 to 13, we have to write yes, no and not given. So now what we're going to do is we're going to read the first question and then start solving this particular set. So other thing you can do is you can solve both sets simultaneously, like read the first question of the first set and first question of the second set. So it will help you to save your time a bit. If you are accustomed to it, it can help you to save your time, because let's just say if you read this, because let me change the color, because Britain's canal network, so Britain's canal network, it will be written almost as it is. How it can be paraphrased, I don't think so it will be paraphrased. So wherever you find this network in Britain, you can understand our location is there, and you can read this question and then particular location. So for example, you are solving these questions, for example, and let's just say your answer number 1 is in this particular paragraph. Okay, in this first paragraph, let me, so your answer is in this particular sentence. And for example, suddenly in the second paragraph you may not find your second answer, but you may find this particular word, Britain's canal network. So what you can do is you can uh, read this question and solve, so you don't have to come back again. So it can be overwhelming for some students, so that's why do what suits you, what works for you best. In this set, in this particular video, we will take one question at a time, so that you can be rest assured how to solve it. I have solved both 2 or sometimes 3 sets simultaneously in my previous video, and I will do this in my upcoming videos, or some of my upcoming videos as well. But in this video we will take one question at a time. Okay, but I have read this, so if we have read this particular thing, we will see what we're gonna do or what we will not gonna do. So if it will depend on the reading passage. So first question, so first is Britain's industrial revolution, steam power, new comments, steam engine was used in mines to remove water. So here the information is given that used to in mines to remove water. So this particular engine was used to remove water. So wherever it is written, so our answer will be after that. First question: in Watt and Bolton's steam engine. So it's very easy to find because the name, they cannot be paraphrased, they will be written as it is. So wherever Watt and Bolton is written, our first answer will be there. In Watt and Bolton's steam engine, the movement of the dash was linked to a gear system. So our movement of the of something of the da- like in this particular steam engine, the movement of something. So basically, it will be a part of the steam engine was linked to a gear system. So it was linked to the gear and it is moving in the engine. So we have to find which part was moving that was linked to the gear system. So let's start. The Industrial Revolution began in Britain in the mid 1700s and by 1830s and 1840s has spread to many other parts of the world including the United States. In Britain, it was a period when a largely rural so agrarian, so star, let's see what is this word, agrarian, relating to the land, especially the use of land for farming. Okay, it's for farming land basically, this is for farming land. Society was transformed into an industrialized urban one. So when farming people were transferred into industrial and urban people, goods that had once been crafted by hand started to be produced in mass quantities by machines in factories thanks to the invention of steam power and the introduction of new machines and manufacturing techniques in textiles, iron making, and other industries. Till now, we haven't read Watt and Bolton, or we even haven't read Britain's canal network. So, will we go further? The foundations of the Industrial Revolution date back to the early 1700s when the English inventor Thomas Newcomen designed the first modern steam engine called the atmospheric steam engine. And Newcomen's invention was originally used to power machines that pumped water out of mines. So remove water. So here it is written pumped water out of mines. So okay. In the 1760s, the Scottish engineer James Watt started to adapt one of Newcomen's models and succeeded in making it far more efficient. Watt later worked with the English manufacturer Matthew Boulton. So here are our two names that we were looking for, Watt and Boulton, to invent a new steam engine driven by both the forward and backward strokes of the piston, while the gear mechanism it was connected to produced rotary motion. Okay, so our answer is in this particular sentence, and you know the process. If you have watched my previous videos, I will give you about 5 or 8 seconds or so to find out the answer and tell me that answer. Do participate, try to find out the answer so that you can, when I write the answer, so you can verify and see if you were able to find out the correct answer or not. And your time starts now. Okay, time's up, and I'm gonna write the answer here. Let's see if you got it right or not. And the answer is piston. I hope you figured out the correct answer, you arrived at the correct answer, and now I will tell you why this is our answer. Let me just mark it here for our later usage. Sorry about that. Our question number 1. So here they are saying Watt and Bolton. So we know this engine is basically about this new steam engine was being manufactured by Watt and Bolton. And here the written movement of dash was linked to a gear system. So here is gear mechanism it was connected to, linked to. Now, can you tell me where the word movement is written? Movement of the is written basically in this particular sentence. Yes, forward and backward strokes of the. So movement meaning to say from one place to another. So if you move something from one place to another, it will say the thing moved. Okay. So forward and backward are again the motions of the movement, and strokes of the refers to the which part of the engine was moving. It was piston. Hopefully you got it right, and if not, you were able to understand why piston is our correct answer. Moving on to the second question. A greater supply of something was required to power steam engines. So we have to find, to power steam engines, we required a greater supply of something. So it can be anything. So if you have to take a wild guess, let's just say any word in English, what kind of word do you think it should be? So if you have watched steam engines, so what kind of thing it should be? So if you want to power, here power means operate steam engine. So you should require something that can be used to generate steam, because if you want to run steam engines, you require steam for that. So here there should be something that can be used to generate steam. All right, let's see. It was a key innovation that would allow steam power to spread across British industries. The demand for coal, which was a relatively cheap energy source, grew rapidly during the Industrial Revolution, as it was not as it was needed to run not only the factories used to produce manufactured goods, but also steam powered transportation. Okay, so our answer should be in this particular sentence. Again, you know the pattern, you know the rule. I will give you 5 seconds or so to tell me the answer, and you should also try me to tell me where these words are, so that we can know this is our correct sentence of line. And if it is not, don't worry, we will see why it is not, and if it is, why it is. So your time starts now. Okay, time's up. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to write the correct answer here, and let's see if you arrived at the correct answer or not. And our answer is coal. Our answer to this question is coal. And I hope you figured out the correct answer. And this is our location of, sorry about that. This is the location of our word. Just let me write here our question number. Okay, now let's see why coal is our correct answer. Where are other words? So here they're saying a greater supply of something was required. Was required meaning to say was needed. So here they are, for this particular thing, the demand basically is our need. So if we are demanding something, if we need something, obviously only then we will demand something. Otherwise, why there will be demand if we don't have any need for some particular thing? So the demand here they are saying grew rapidly, greater supply. So the demand was greater, grew rapidly, greater supply was required. So something, if greater supply was required, meaning to say ER basically refers to the increment in something. So comparison, like greater than previous thing, obviously the value increased if it is greater than previous E value. So grew rapidly. And because it was not only for the factories but also steam powered transportation. So transportation basically is a mode. So here their mode of transportation here is engines, steam powered engines. I hope it is clear why coal will be our answer. Moving forward to the third question, textile industry. Now here we were reading about or finding question about steam power, and for this we will find about textile industry. Third question. Before the Industrial Revolution, spinners and weavers worked at home and in something. Okay, so we will have to say before the Industrial Revolution, not after. So, what happened before the Industrial Revolution was there? Spinners and weavers. So, obviously, they are these words are referring to people who spun or who weave. Okay, worked at home. They used to work at home and in, obviously in factory or something like that. There are only two places to work. Maybe there is some other place. We will only know after reading the paragraph. But we know there will be two locations at home and in something. Let's see where are these words. In the early 1800s, the English engineer Richard Trevithick, so sorry if I'm mispronouncing it, built a steam-powered locomotive, and by 1830, goods and passengers were being transported between the industrial centers of Manchester and Liverpool. So here they're just saying why or for what purpose engines were being used or locomotives were being used, steam-powered locomotives, basically trains. In addition, steam powered boats and ships were widely used to carry goods along Britain's canals as well as across the Atlantic. So, here is something about Britain's canal. So, sorry, here is Britain's canal network. Okay, so we can read it now if we want to, and then we can read the second question so that we can do these side by side. But in this particular video, we will do it afterwards so that if you want to do it, you can do it right now. But if you don't, you can do it later as well. So if you are not getting your desired band scores, if you are not getting your answers accurate more often than not, maybe almost always, until then, practice in a simple way. Okay, so what I will do is I will mark it in green so that we can come to it later if that is our answer, so we can verify it. Now I will just move to the next question, move on with the next question. So we have to find spinners and weavers. Britain had produced Britain had produced textiles like wool, linen, and cotton for hundreds of years. So let me mark it because it can also be important word. But prior to industrial revolution, the British textile business was a true cottage industry with the work performed in small workshops or even homes by individual spinners, weavers, and dyers. So we can easily understand from spinners, weavers, these are our words that we were looking for, and obviously this will be our location. And you know the rule, you will have 5 seconds or so to find out the answer, and your time starts now. Okay, time's up. I hope you figured out the correct answer, and I'm gonna write the correct answer here. Let's see if you got it right or not. And the answer to this should be workshops. And here it is written. Let me just write down the question number here. Question number 3. So let's see where our words were and how we arrived at this particular answer. So here we can easily see spinners, weavers. These words are written here. Okay, there is no problem finding these words. But where it is written before the industrial revolution, Yes, can you tell me? Yes, here it is Industrial Revolution. It's quite easy to locate, but where is the word before the? Yes, here prior to the. So before meaning to say prior to. So this is how they paraphrase before in your IELTS reading. Okay, before the prior to the industrial revolution. So there are like they worked in even in homes, and second were in small workshops. So in here it is written in small workshops. Obviously we cannot write small workshops because we have to write only one word. So if I write small workshops, my answer will be marked incorrect. Okay, and if I only write small, if I only write small, it will not make any sense. Okay, so workshop is the best suited word here. Fourth, not as much dash was needed to produce cloth once, sorry about that, spinning jenny and power loom were invented. So not as much of something was needed to produce. So there should be something, maybe a product or something like that. It was not as much like before. A lot of that particular thing was needed. Now not as much as that thing were needed as it was needed in the past. Okay, to produce cloth. Why to produce cloth? Once spinning jenny and power loom were invented. So they are quite easy to locate. Spinning jenny and power loom, they are like names of machines on which cloth is made. So we will easily able to find it in our paragraph. Starting in the mid 1700s, innovations like spinning jenny. So here it is written and power loom. So we have found our location. It was like just in the next sentence. Made weaving cloth and spinning yarn and thread much easier. So do you think there is? Okay. So do you think our answer in this particular sentence? If yes, what is our answer? If no, why? You have again 5 seconds to tell me. Okay, time's up. So if you say no, this is our answer is not in this particular sentence. Congratulations, you are correct. Why? Because there is nothing comparison. No comparison is like not as much as it is basically comparing something to the something with the other thing. Like not he is not as fast as his brother. So we are comparing two people. He is not as intelligent as his friend. So again we are comparing two people. So here no comparison is given. So we cannot say our answer is in this particular location. So let's see, we will read further. With these machines, relatively little labor was required to produce clothes, and the new mechanized textile factories that opened around the country were quickly able to meet customer demand for clothes both at home and abroad. And is there our answer in this particular sentence? If yes, what it is and why it is? If no, why not? Okay, again you will have roughly 5 or 8 to 10 seconds because this is a bigger sentence. So you will have roughly 8 to 10 seconds for this to read it thoroughly, and the time starts now. Okay, time's up. So if you said yes, our answer is in this location. Again, congratulations. Yes, it is. And if you were not able to spot our answer, locate our answer in this particular sentence, I will tell you why. And let's see. But first, let's see what our answer is and whether you arrived at the correct answer or not. And our answer to this question is labor. So if you arrived at this particular answer, well done. I will tell you why this is our answer. Just give me a sec or so. so that I can write here. This is our question number 4. So let's see. So here they are saying these name of these machine, but the name of these machines were in the previous sentence. In this particular sentence, so this is our full stop. So sentence has ended. So in this particular sentence, we don't have the names of spinning jenny and power loom. So how can this be our answer? Because they have used pronoun referencing. So here it is. They have written these machines. So these machines are, it is nothing. These machines refer to these number 1 and number 2, spinning jenny and power loom. So 1 and 2 plural. So these plural machines. So what we need, relatively little labor. So relatively little labor is basically comparison with the past. So was little meaning to say not as much as. Okay, the quantity is less than the previous thing. Little labor was required. Okay, to produce cloth. So here it is written produce cloth, produce cloth. Clear? Hopefully it is clear. Moving on to the next question. So this question is about iron industry. Okay, fifth question. Smelting of iron ore with coke resulted in material that was better. So this is a particular process, and if you don't know what this process is, don't worry. If I am not that particular sure what kind of process it is. So whatever the process is, so smelting of iron ore with coke. So we know these phrases will not be like too much paraphrased. Word iron ore will be written as iron ore. This coke will be written as particular word coke. So we are using smelting process of these two materials. It resulted in material. So after smelting these two materials, so we made a material that was better. So that was better at something. Okay, that was better. If something about particular material which is like better in this thing, more advantageous, something like that. Okay, let's see. The British iron industry. So here is iron industry. So here is iron industry and here is iron industry. Also underwent major changes as it adopted new innovations. Chief among the new techniques was smelting of iron ore with coke. So here it is written the process name. A material made by heating coal. So what is coke? Coke is not your cold drink or that other thing that you are thinking of. Maybe the here coke refers to a material that is made by heating coal instead of the traditional charcoal. This method was cheaper and produced metals that were a higher quality, enabling Britain's iron and steel production to expand in response to demand created by Napoleonic Wars 1803 to 15 and the expansion of railways from the 1830s. Okay, so let me see. So here our words. So can you tell me if our answer is in this sentence or not? You will get again 5 seconds or so to find out the answer if the answer is there, and to say if the answer is not there, and time starts now. Okay, time's up. So our answer is not in this location, because here they are just saying about the process. What is the process of this? Okay, and what is coke here? So instead of charcoal we are not using but traditional charcoal, and instead of charcoal we are using coke, and this coke is a material that is made by heating coal. So here we don't know what the material is. So this method was cheaper and produced metal that were of a higher quality, enabled this particular thing. So do you think our answer is in this particular sentence? Again, you will have, this is a bigger sentence. You will have a roughly 10 seconds or so, and your time starts now. Okay, time's up, and yes, our answer is in this location, and our answer is, let me write it here. Our answer is quality. Now, if you were able to figure out the correct answer, congratulations. But you should be also be able to tell me why quality is the answer. And if you were not able to like tell me, then it is basically a guesswork, a fluke. So you should be careful about that and try to see why this is the correct answer. And if you're not able to figure out the correct answer, I will tell you why this is our answer. So here they have written smelting of iron ore and coke. So here it is this. But in this sentence again, they have used pronoun. This method. So this method basically refers to this. Was cheaper. So better meaning to say comparison. Here is comparison. But still, because even though it is a comparative word, but we haven't found out any material was made and produced metal. So produced metal basically resulted in material that was better, that were of higher. Higher is your better, and quality is your answer. So let me just mark it so that you can verify it later if you want to see later. Okay, what happened here? I don't know. So quality is our answer. I hope it is clear. Sixth question. Demand of iron increased with the growth of something. Okay. So we have read something about demand. I believe here also. Yes, demand. Here is something about demand. So let's read this particular sentence. But first, let's see our keywords. So we are saying demand of iron increased with the growth of the dash. So there are two words for increase. Demand increased iron, and there was also with the growth of. So something grew, as a result our demand for iron increased. So with the meaning to say along with, plus because of this demand increased. Let's see, enabling Britain's iron and steel production to expand in response to the demand. So iron iron production expanded, basically grew, increased in response to. So whose response to? Demand created by the Napoleonic Wars and the expansion of the railways from the 1830s. So let's see. So our answer should be somewhere here. If yes, what is our answer and why? If not, why our answer is not, what is missing in this particular sentence. So you have about 8 or 10 seconds to figure out whether our answer is here or not, and what is our answer if it is here, and why our answer is not in this sentence if it is not. And time starts now. Okay, time's up. So first let me tell you, yes, our answer is in this particular sentence, and our answer is, let me write here, railways. I hope you arrived at the correct answer. This is our location. Let me, question number 6. So let me tell you why this is our answer. So here they are saying demand for iron increased, iron production expand in response to. So with the growth of, so where it is written growth, expansion again meaning to say increment. So here they are using similar family words. I hope it is clear. Moving on to the last question. So we will now read something about communications, but we don't have to worry too much about that. And then urbanization. So our answer is in urbanization. So let's see where is urbanization, and then we will read our question. The latter part of the industrial revolution also saw key advances in communication. So here is communication methods. I am underlining or I am highlighting this because in the on paper I will underline this, because in true false maybe I may have to find something about communication methods, so I will be able to easily figure out the location. As people increasingly saw the need to communicate effectively over long distances. In 1837, British inventor William Cook and Charles Wheatstone patented the first commercial telegraphy system. In the 1830s and 40s, Samuel Morse. Okay, so what I'm doing is I'm underlining or highlighting here. In this particular case, highlighting. But if you are doing it on paper, underline these words, because if we have to find these words in your second or maybe in the third set, you will be easily able to locate the location. And other inventors worked on their versions in the United States. Cook and Wheatstone's system was soon used for railway signaling in the UK. As the speed of the new locomotives increased, it was essential to have a fast and effective means of avoiding collisions. The impact of industrial revolutions on people's lives was immense. Although many people in Britain had begun moving to cities from rural areas to before the industrial revolution, this accelerated dramatically with industrialization. So here people started moving from city to cities from rural areas. Basically, this is something about urbanization. So what is urbanization? Like, urbanization is basically making rural areas into cities, or developing rural areas into cities, or moving from one place to cities, rural areas to cities. So here the question is saying, first point is saying, small towns turned into cities very quickly. So we have transformed small towns into cities quickly. Second, the one we have to find out, the new cities were dirty. So new cities, they were dirty, crowded, and lacked sufficient. So there was a lack of something. Okay, there were not enough, or there was not enough something. But let's see what was not enough. As the rise of large factories turned smaller towns into major cities. So here's something about turning small towns into major cities in just a few decades. The rapid urbanization brought significant challenges, because these are all problems, so these are challenges. As overcrowded cities suffer from pollution and inadequate sanitation. So our answer should be in this particular sentence, because challenges, I have already told you, these are the problems. So challenges means problems. So you will have 5 or so seconds to tell me the answer, and your time starts now. Okay, time's up. And the correct answer is, I'm going to write it here and see whether you got it right. And our correct answer is sanitation. So here it is written. Sorry about that. So this is our question number 7. So why, how, where are those words? Here they are written crowded and lack something, and dirty. So let me just use my highlighter. Overcrowded, so obviously crowded, suffered from pollution, so they were dirty, and lacked sufficient. So inadequate means lack, not like enough amount of something. Inadequate sanitation, so that's why lacked sufficient sanitation. I hope these answers are clear. Now moving on to the next set, question number 8 to 13. So for these sets again, the answer to the next question will be always after the previous question. Like we will find the answer to question number 9 after question number 8. You do not have to go back up again. So we know there maybe our question number 8 is in this particular sentence because we haven't read about Britain's or canal network anywhere else up until here. Maybe in the last 2 3 paragraphs there may be something about canals. If we don't find our answer here, so if we find our answer here, then our ninth answer will always be after our eighth answer. It will not be before our eighth answer. Similarly, 10th answer will be in after ninth, 11th will be after 10th, 12th will be after 11th, and 13th will be after 12th. Okay, so now let's read our eighth question. Britain's canal network grew rapidly so that more goods could be transported around the country. So this network, they are saying it grew rapidly. Okay, let me change the color first. So they are saying this network grew rapidly. So that meaning to say why they have given the reason, because they wanted to export or transport more goods around the country. So if this is the reason why this network grew rapidly, we'll say yes. And if the writer is not claiming that, if he or she is claiming there is some other reason why this network grew rapidly, we'll say no. And if we don't have the reasons written in this paragraph why this network grew rapidly, or even if this network grew rapidly or not, we'll say not given. Let's see. In addition, steam-powered boats and ships were widely used to carry goods along Britain's canals as well as across the Atlantic. So around the country, steamboats and ships were used to carry this particular thing, but we do not have our reason why this network grew rapidly. Okay, so what could be the other thing is that maybe Britain canal network is written here. So before reading this, what I will do is I will read the next question, and if the next question is somewhere here or somewhere here, I will know that this answer is in this particular sentence. Let's see. Cost in the iron industry rose when the technique of smelting iron ore with coke was introduced. So we have read this technique here, where we have read here, smelting iron ore with coke. So we have read here. So we know we do not have to, our answer should be here. So our answer should be in according to this particular sentence, and I am giving you some 5 or so seconds to tell me if our answer should be yes, no, or not given. And your time starts now. Okay, time's up. And our answer to this question should be, let me just write it here and see if you were able to figure out the correct answer. Not given. So if you were able to figure out the correct answer, congratulations. If you were not able to do so, don't worry, I'll tell you why it's not given. I have already told you basically, but I'll tell you now with even with more clarity. Just let me write it here that this is our question number 8. So here they have said that we are using these canals for carrying goods. Okay, meaning to say for transportation. So around the country, obviously, if we are using the entire regions canals, so we are transporting around the entire region, around the country, but we have no information if these canals were made, or if these canals grew rapidly or not, or if these canals were made for this sole purpose. Okay, let's see. In the early 1800s, built steam power locomotives. Okay, yes. So we don't know about these two reasons why they grew. Did they grew rapidly, or did they like did their like value fell? Or sorry, did their value fall or did their value grow? So we don't know about that. In either case, we'll say not. Okay, now we'll focus on the ninth question, and we know we have written, sorry, we have read here smelting of iron ore with coke. So we will read the question. Cost in the iron industry rose. So they have saying the cost rose. The cost in the industry rose. So which industry? Iron industry rose with the technique of smelting iron ore when the technique of smelting iron ore with coke was introduced. So when this technique was introduced, the prices increased. So if this is the case, we'll say yes. But if this is not the case, let's say prices decreased or they remained the same, we'll say no. And if we don't have any information regarding this, we'll say not given. Let's see. The British iron industry also underwent major changes as it adopted new innovations. Chief among the new techniques was the smelting of iron ore with coke, a material made by heating coal instead of traditional charcoal. This method was cheaper and produced metals that were of higher quality and so on. So our answer is in this particular location, and okay, I will not tell you the exact location, but this particular sentence, and you have 5 seconds or so to tell me the answer, and after that I will write the answer here, and your time starts now. Okay, time's up, and I'm gonna write the answer here. Let's see if you were able to identify the correct answer, and our answer is false. Why it is false? Because, yes, tell me if you have said false. Yes, because here, let me do this. Here they have said this particular process was cheaper, not expensive. Here they say the costs rose, but here they are saying it was cheaper. So if it was cheaper, uh, let me do this instead. So if it was cheaper, how the cost can increase? So obviously, so our answer, this is our location, question number. So the cost decreased, not increased. So the cost didn't rise, it fall. Okay, sorry, it fell. But I am saying it fell. So it is in the past. So was clear about that. Now moving on to the next question, number 10. Samuel Morse communication system was more reliable than that developed by William Cook and Charles Wheatstone. So here what the question is demanding, that we have to compare the system developed by this particular person with the system developed by these two people, and whether this particular system developed by Samuel was more reliable than Cook and Charles Wheatstone's system or not. So if it is, or if it was more reliable, we'll say yes. If it wasn't more reliable, or if the reliability was equal, we'll say no. And if we don't have any information of this, like whose system was more reliable or not, and we'll say not given. So we have read the names somewhere. here. So here it is William Cook, Charles Wheatstone, and Samuel Moore. So that's the benefit of highlighting, or in your case of pen and paper, underlining names and dates. So you can easily identify the location. So let's see. In 1837, British inventor William Cook and Charles Wheatstone patented the first commercial telegraphy system. In the 1830s and 40s, Samuel Morse and other inventors worked on their own versions in the United States. Cook and Wheatstone systems was soon used for railway signaling in the UK. As the speed of the new locomotives increased, it was essential to have a fast and effective means of avoiding collisions. So our answer should be somewhere here, because after that Samuel Morse is not mentioned. So you will have around 5 or 8 seconds to figure out the answer and tell me the answer, and your time starts now. Okay, time's up. So we know that this is our location, and I'm gonna write the answer here and see if you were able to arrive at correct answer or not. Our answer to this question should be not given. If you also said not given, congratulations. If you said yes or no, don't worry, I'll tell you why it is not yes or no and why it is not given. So here they are comparing the system made by like these two sets of people. So they're saying in 1837, British inventors William and Charles, they patented their first commercial telegraphy system. And in 80s, 30s and 40s, Samuel Morse and other inventors, they worked on their own versions in the United States. But they haven't compared whose system was better. So because of that lack of comparison, we cannot say which system is better. The system made by William and Charles, or the system made by Samuels and other inventors. So that lack of information, that lack of comparison enables us to say not given. So if we say yes or no, in both cases will be marked as incorrect, because there is no comparison, and without comparison you cannot arrive at any conclusion. So that's why we will have to say not given. Hope it is clear. Moving on to the 11th question. The economic benefits of industrialization were limited to certain sectors of society. Here the question is saying that the economic benefits of industrialization, they were limited to only certain sections of society. Meaning to say, not all people were able to benefit from industrialization. It were limited, the benefits were limited to particular section of society. Maybe whatever section they have divided society into, so only one or some section of society were able to take advantages of industrialization, and other sections or other sectors were deprived of this particular benefits. So up until here we haven't read, and we have read about industrialization here. Let's say industrialization is written here. So here is also communication, but there is no mention of categories of society, or who were to benefit or who benefited or not. So what we will do is we will read further. Although industrialization increased the country's economic output overall and improved the standard of living for the middle and upper middle classes, many poor people continue to struggle. Okay. So here is something about industrialization and economic. So economic benefits, economic outputs. So obviously your answer should be in this particular sentence, maybe or may not be. So all right, your answer is in this particular sentence, and you have some time to tell me whether it is yes, no, or not. And your time starts now. Okay, time's up. And your answer to this question is, I'm going to write here. Let's see if you were able to tell me the correct answer. The answer is true. So why it is true? Oh, sorry about that. What I'm writing. It is yes. I'm extremely sorry about that. Okay, it is yes and it was no. So why it is yes? Because they are saying uh, although industrialization increased the country's economic output and improved the standard of living for, and it benefited middle and upper classes, but many poor classes continued to struggle, meaning to say they were not able to take advantages of these benefits. So because of their lack of because they were being deprived of these benefits, so we can say only certain sectors, so sectors meaning to say plural, so there are two sectors, middle and upper classes. So because of this certain sectors are were only benefited, so we will say not all people were benefited, so the answer to this should be yes. Okay, moving forward to the 12th question. Some skilled weavers believed that the introduction of the new textile machines would lead to job losses. So the question keyword they are saying that some skilled weavers, so basically some people, skilled people in this particular industry, they believed that the introduction of these machines, new textile machines, what would happen? It would lead to job losses. So because of introduction of machines, there would be job losses. People will lose their jobs. So if that is the case, we will say yes. But if that is not the case, we will say no. And if there is no information on that, if we cannot show something for sure, we will say not given. Let's see. We'll continue reading from here. Factory workers had to work long hours in dangerous conditions for extremely low wages. Okay, so here's something about wages, but here's nothing about job losses. So we know this is not our location. We'll continue reading. These conditions, along with the rapid pace of change, fueled opposition to industrialization. A group of British workers who became known as Luddites were British weavers. So here is something about weavers and textile workers who objected to the increased use of mechanized looms and knitting frames. Many had spent years learning their craft, and they feared that unskilled machine operators were robbing them of their livelihood. So livelihood just means jobs. So our answer should be in this particular sentence, from here to here, and more specifically here. So you have some time, 5 or so seconds, to tell me the answer to this particular question, or let's say 10 seconds to answer this question, and the time starts now. Okay, time's up, and I'm gonna write the answer here, and let's see if you arrived at the correct answer or not? And our answer is yes. I'll tell you why. If you were not able to arrive at the correct answer, don't worry. There is no need to worry. I'll tell you why, and you should try to understand where you are lacking, why you were not able to tell me the correct answer, and how to read such words or sentences. So here we know this is about these sentences were told by viewers or opinion of viewers. They're saying that a group of British workers, or they were like British weavers and textile workers, who objected to the increased use of mechanized looms and knitting frames. What they believe, many had spent years learning their craft, and they feared, meaning to say they were afraid that unskilled machine operators were robbing them of their livelihood. Robbing them of their livelihood, basically, in simpler words, if I say, it means they were depriving them of their job because of machines. They can be operated by unskilled labor, unskilled operators, because they didn't were they were not required to learn this craft because machines were doing everything. They just were to operate the machine. They should be able to operate the machine, like how to switch on, how to switch off, or if there is any error in the machine, what to do. Okay, so they feared that because of unskilled operators or unskilled laborers, they were being robbed of their livelihood. Livelihood, I have already told you, jobs. So because of that, yes, they believed machines were depriving them, or because of machine they were losing their jobs. Hope it is clear. Moving on to the next question, question number 13. There was some sympathy among local people for the Luddites who were arrested near Huddersfield. So, if I am not able to pronounce it correctly, I am sorry in advance. So, the question basically is saying that there was some sympathy. So, people were sympathetic, like which people? Local people. So, local people were sympathetic towards whom? Towards this group of people that were arrested near this particular place, Huddersfield. So, if they had sympathy for these people arrested at this particular place, we'll say yes. If they didn't have any sympathy, we'll say no. But if we don't know whether they had any sympathy or not, we'll say not given. So let's see. So until now we haven't read about this particular place. So wherever this particular place is written, wherever this particular place is mentioned, our answer will be in that particular location. So we'll read forward. A few desperate weavers began breaking into factories and smashing textile machines. They called themselves Luddites after Ned Ludd, a young apprentice who was rumored to have wrecked a textile machine in 1779. So they have now we have only been given information who were Luddites and why they were called so, but no mention of this. The first major instances of machine breaking took place in 1811 in the city of Nottingham. So here there is city of Nottingham but not Huddersfield. So this is not our location. And the practice soon spread across the country. Machine breaking Luddites attacked and burned factories, and in some cases they even exchanged gunfire with company guards and soldiers. The workers wanted employers to stop installing new machinery, but the British government responded to the uprisings by making machine breaking punishable by death. The unrest finally reached its peak in April 1812 when a few Luddites were shot during an attack on a mill near Huddersfield. So here is our location. In the days that followed, other Luddites were arrested and dozens were hanged or transported to Australia. By 1813, the Luddite resistance had all but vanished. Okay, so our location we have found our location here. So now again you will have few seconds to tell me the answer, and your 8 or 10 seconds or so. So your time starts now. Okay, time's up. What I will do is I will write the answer here and see if you got it right or not. Oh, sorry about that. What I'm writing. Our answer to this is not given. So first let me mark it and let me write the question number here. Okay, now I'll tell you why the answer is not given. Here there is no, here they are saying few Luddites or few people were shot in and during an attack on a mill near Huddersfield. So this is the location. But were there people who were arrested? We don't know about the arrest. We just know that some people were shot. Whether they were arrested after being shot, or whether they were like killed in that gunfire, or whether they died because of their wounds or injuries, we don't know anything about that. And also whether people were sympathetic towards them or not, even that we don't know. So we haven't gotten any information on that. Okay, so you haven't read any information on this particular question, so that's why we'll say not given. Okay, hopefully this is clear. So this is how you should solve your paragraphs you're reading. Again, you have two ways, or you have or sometimes you can have three ways to solve this. So basically for this you have two ways. So either you can solve both sets independently like we have, or you can solve both sets simultaneously, like reading the first question of each set. So when you find the question location to the first question of any of the sets, solve that, and then read the second question of that set that which you have just solved, and underline or mark the keywords. So this is it. If you are not able to understand any part of the video, you are free to ask us, or you can re-watch that particular part of the video again and again until it is clear. And if you want to watch more videos, we have uploaded more such videos on our channel, where we have also uploaded the latest book number 20 on our channel also. You can go and watch those videos, so to understand how the questions are solved in that particular video. And if you are not able to understand why some answer to some particular question is that particular answer, it will be in that video explained thoroughly. So if you want our help, if you're not able to get your band 7 or more in your writing and or speaking, so you can contact us on our website. I'm gonna leave the link to our website in the description box. We have helped numerous countless students to achieve band 7 or more in their writing and or speaking. So if you are one of those struggling with that, even after several attempts you are not able to get more than band 6 or 6.5, so don't worry, we will tell you your mistakes. In that particular course we have covered in depth what examiners are looking for and how to achieve band 7 or more in your writing and or speaking. Even in your reading and or listening, if you are not able to achieve your desired band scores, if you are stuck in your reading and or listening, we have covered in that course thoroughly how to solve different question types and how to practice your questions. So that's it for this particular video. That's all, and I will see you in the next video. Till then, take care and goodbye.